this Instagram stuff. Yo, yo, yo.
What up?
What's going on, man? What's going on? Hand claps all around. Hand claps all around. Yes, sir. How you feeling, man?
I'm good, brother. You know how it is. I'm
Yeah.
real good, real blessed. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. Man, it's been a long time. First of all, before I start this podcast, y'all gotta know my boy Dontae Smiley is how I first knew this guy. And if y'all don't know, at Andy's Bar, UNT days, this
Yup.
guy was the first artist. We're gonna get to his artistry later, but he was the first artist to put me on to my first show at UNT, as an artist myself. So, you know what I mean? Gotta give you the sign for that, man. So yeah, let's get into it. For all the guests that don't know, make sure to follow the guest. I'm gonna put all this information in the description below. So tell us, man, where you from exactly?
Originally I was from Oklahoma, but most of my life I grew up in the North Dallas area, 635 Webb Chapel-ish. And then at 13, my dad got custody of me, and then he moved me to the Colony, Texas after that. So moving straight to the burbs once he got custody of me, because I was getting in a lot of trouble back in my younger days. And once he
Uh-oh.
got custody of me, he was like, that's just done. So we're gonna go out here and do what we gotta do. And the rest is history, man. That changed my life forever, him moving me out there.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. So when was that you moved over here to the Colony?
It would have been 2001 because I was
Okay.
right at 13 years old when he got custody, and we moved that same exact years. And then I ended
Okay.
up graduating from the Colony. Then, as you know, went to
Yeah.
UNT, and the rest is history.
Yeah. So you started the Colony at them was it middle school? That's about middle school age, right? Middle school,
Correct.
high
Yeah,
school age.
seventh grade.
Yeah, man. That's part one of the prime years. They say that high school is like your prime years, your golden years, whatever. I think college is, man.
Yeah, I agree.
Y'all already know how I feel about college, but I say if you do have the opportunity to go to a university, it will be the golden years. And
Yeah.
I'm not talking about, y'all know what, I'm talking about great moments, lots of education.
Right.
So, man, we talked about artistry earlier, man. You were the first artist to put me on to Andy's, man. It's such a blessing. I thank you for that.
No
But
doubt.
I never got a chance to ask you, like, what was your inspiration behind music and what made you, want to get into it?
My brother, man. My brother was real big into music. He played instruments, played the violin. He could play the flute. He could play the piano. He could read music very well. He was also very well rounded in what he listened to. I mean, he listened to everything from like Marilyn Manson all the way to Tupac. You know what I mean, and everything else
Mm,
in between. So he had area of different albums that he had. He had them Zick books that had the CD sleeves in it. I mean,
hmm
5 of them full, boxes full of CDs. And so he put me on to everything, you know what I mean? And just as I was getting older, when I hit about 17, 18 years old is when I actually started recording with my boy Antonio and my boy Bert back then. Then it was just me and Antonio. Then once I got to college, it was just me at that point that
hmm
was doing my thing up until I formed, Mac Bras, and we had 5, 6 people at one time, and that dwindled down to 3 with just myself, Rick Blaine, and CLV by the end of it.
Yeah.
When I
Shout out the
initially,
crew.
yeah, up until the point where I initially left music back in 2014, and then I came back in 2018 to recording and dropping albums and stuff like that. And
Hmm
I've dropped about 3 projects ever since I've been back in 2018. Because music's one of them things like you never leave it. You know what I mean? There's too much of an emotional connection when you're an artist
hmm
to the lyricism, especially in the hip hop world when lyrics are of the utmost importance and storytelling is of the utmost importance for you to tell a certain story on the past or you to talk about what you done and what you're going through currently. You know what I
Right.
mean? Just depends on what kind of artist you are and what the album, the concept of the album is, I guess, as far as that goes. But it was good time off, man. Those 4 years that I took off from recording were the best because that's when I started wrestling as well. I got married
Yeah.
during that time. I had my first kid during that time. So a lot of life happened during those 4 years, so to speak, where I grew a lot and I came back just with a way fresher mind, even
hmm
and a lot less stress to do music. So I'm enjoying it a lot more now, because even though I'm still throwing shows, I'll still perform, I'll
Hmm.
still be in the studio a lot, recording and writing. The stress factor on having to live this gimmick of being a rapper or a hip hop artist, I don't hold anymore because I've grown away from feeling like I had to look a certain type of way or do a certain thing or wear a certain thing or whatever it may be, like I did, initially in my younger years of
Yeah, I
music, where I kind
understand.
of grew out of that, and now I'm cool with wearing flip flops and sweatpants and a tank top, being on stage and still rapping the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's not about the flashiness, man, because that shit put me in debt back then. Try to live the gimmick and stuff. I was taking out credit cards to fucking buy jewelry and shoes and clothes and all that kind of stuff,
man,
and
you
it
really
hurt
about
me.
it.
Yeah, and it ended up hurting me, financially. I had a lot of good opportunity because I was opening up for people that were coming into Dallas at Trees and
Hmm.
Dada, and the Andes, Haley's, doing festivals, South by Southwest,
Yeah,
Roadtopia out in Denton, and so all those kind of deals. So there was a lot that was happening. You know what I mean? But the deeper I got into it, the deeper I lost myself, up until the
right.
point where I did leave. And so, like I say, coming back has been super refreshing.
Yeah.
Just because it's a whole different point of view. What I rap about is differently because I'm a girl dad. I have two daughters, and so it's
Oh,
important to me.
congrats.
Thank you. It's important to me what they hear out of my mouth, not only at the house, but even when I'm there recording or if they're listening to the music, knowing it's my music. And I
Yeah.
want to make sure I'm saying stuff that's not in vain, that they can even grow from and enjoy. While I'm not just on there cussing crazy or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah, I understand. Like, you know what? I want to talk about the Mac Bros, man. That's how I first got to meet you in music. And, I want to kind of talk about the transition because it seems like you had a very big transition. Because I
Right.
was reading on a bio that, and it's a certain adjective that stood out to me on your description about your music now that you are a gospel rapper
Right.
now. You know what I mean? And I think that's really cool. Oh, hold on. I think it's a little lag a little bit. Are we good?
Good. Yep. I'm
Okay,
good.
yeah. So I saw in your description it said that you were a gospel rapper. So starting off in Mac Broad, and Andy days, rough and rugged days, y'all know UNT. We got down. It was good fun days. Like you said
Yeah.
about the gimmick, we all try to do all the flashy stuff and with the skill too. But as you get older, you come to realization that it is really a gimmick. That's why we're putting on a show. It's a
Right.
performance or entertainment. So I definitely feel you on that. It's a lot of maturity, you know what I mean? And
Correct.
some people make it, some people don't. But I feel like at the end of the day, we do it because we love music. It really actually wasn't for the flashes. You and I just love music. We love
Right.
art, you know what I mean? So from that transition, you came back into the game and music as a gospel artist. And I guess you said because you wanted to make music that your daughters can hear and
Right.
be truly inspired by and very like pure music. So,
Right.
what was your most recent gospel project that you dropped?
It would have been No Stone Unturned, which I dropped earlier this year. That's on all music streaming platforms.
Hmm.
And like it's not so much. I mean, it could be considered gospel rap. I like saying testimonial rap,
Hmm.
because I rap a lot about the transformation and the things that I went through spiritually.
Hmm.
That do have to do with God, yes, because I did get saved back in 2017 when I got back going to church. Yep, appreciate that. So got back going to church in 2017, got saved because, like I say, I was losing myself for a long time. I got real depressed at one point when I got injured. Um, Started taking, pills unnecessarily and a lot of other drugs
Mm.
unnecessarily. Started getting suicidal, and so I needed to find myself, and that's how, to me, I was able to do it. I understand it's not for everybody, but it's what happened to me and what it has been working for me. So a lot of the rap that I've been doing ever since has been very just testimonial about the transformation and also the battle, right? Because
Mm.
even when we get saved and start making that transformation, it's very hard to just drop your past. You know what I mean? It doesn't happen overnight. It's a work in progress always. Nor people that consider themselves spiritual people or Christians or Christ followers, however you want to put it, nor are they
Hmm.
perfect. A lot of people think that Christians are supposed to live perfect, which is the problem that a lot of folks have with Christianity. Is like
Yeah.
they say they're a Christian, but yet they're doing this. They say that, look, the Bible is full of imperfect people. You know what I mean? That
Facts.
like that's what people forget.
Hmm.
Nobody that Jesus used as one of his disciples was perfect. He had thieves, he had murderers, he had
Yeah.
prostitutes, everything. Those were his disciples. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Me and
And
my
it,
friend
and
were
it's
talking about that earlier.
yeah,
You know what I
and
mean?
right, and it's just a constant battle. You know what I mean? So I talk about that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
As well as somebody being saved, still with a lot of that stuff that's haunting me. And I remember on my album, what was it? It was it on Coats? It was either on Coats or it was on the Elevated Life Story. It might have been on the Elevated Life Story, but it was a
Hmm.
song called "Save Me" on that album. And
Mm.
you know, at the beginning of the verse, I say I had a conversation with God when I was alone last night. Told him I'm trying real hard, and he said, "No, you're not. Put up a bed of fight." I looked at him
Mm.
like, "What the hell you mean?" He said, "Don't try. You better quit playing. You know those changes that you need to make that you and I know about that you ain't telling." And
Mm.
so it goes. You know what I mean? And it's that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. It's that
Yeah.
inner turmoil that we go through trying to live right, but still feel a little bit of that cloud from our past time. And I said I talk about that to be able to save myself. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
I
So
feel like you're totally on the money because me and my friend just had a very big conversation about that. First of all, again, congratulations on getting saved, man. That's a big, big, big milestone. I'm very proud of you, man. That's really good. You know what's funny? You brought up the thing about Christians being imperfect, and I feel that that's totally true. Like that's how that's what actually kind of makes us perfect is our imperfections. You know what I
right,
mean? And the fact that we depend on because I'm a believer myself, and the fact that we depend on the faith of Christ Jesus, you know, to help us get through life every day.
correct,
He doesn't going to trip. We're going to stumble. We're going to mess up. At the end of the day, we know that we can lean on Him. You know what I mean? So one thing, and I want to get into this. You know, I'm gonna bring up Donda later because I got to talk to you about that.
correct.
But
Please, yeah,
the thing about it is like Christians again, we're not perfect, and Christians are gonna be a different way than how they see it, that they believe it should be done. Like they think Christians should always, you know, like how can I say this? How did I put this? You talked about murderers and thieves and all that. These were the apostles. I think some of
right,
them were rapists,
right,
murderers. They
right,
were damn near like Hitlers, but
right,
yet they were the
right.
disciples of Jesus Christ. Just that when Jesus was laid on the cross, when they put him on the cross in the hill, and there's three of them. Jesus was in the middle, and there's two guys on his side.
Yep,
One of the guys I think was either already dead or just didn't, you know, he was gone. But the guy that was to the side that was still alive he was a killer, thief. He killed children, women, everything. But he was like, you know what? I acknowledge I messed up. And he's like, I heard about you, Jesus. I heard that you have a kingdom where you could accept people like me. He's like, what can I do to be accepted? And he's like, just acknowledge Jesus as, you know, Lord and Savior.
right,
And he did. And God said, you have been granted a place in the kingdom.
right.
Just like that, just in less than a minute. And that's why I was like, you know, it's never too late to turn to Christ. It's never too late. And I feel like people think that, oh, a murderer, rapist, that can't be a Christian. That can't, you know, that person can't be forgiven. That's a sin is a sin.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's no really levels to it. A sin is a sin. So I definitely agree about that. So, but when it comes to Donda, as we know, you know, you changed your life to Christ, and there might be another artist that we know that you mentioned earlier in the episode named Marilyn Manson. And
Correct.
apparently he's at the forefront of the news for being at Kanye West's church praying. You know, this is Marilyn Manson, a guy that literally put himself at the forefront of being an antichrist. Now he's
Correct.
praying in a Christian circle. So what are your thoughts about that?
I mean, I feel like that's exactly how it works.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because people said the same thing about Kanye too when he first announced that he was going to start doing these Sunday services, and then that he was going to do the Jesus is King album, and then also obviously Donda as we know it. People
Uh-huh.
have the same exact thing to say about him. How is he going to go from something like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, where he's talking about fucking models all the time, to making a Christian album? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And everybody has to find their way. There's no strategy to the situation, which is
Hmm.
why some people believe and some people don't. I think it's just a matter of where you're at in your life journey, so to speak. how that happens for you, for those that get saved and whatnot. You know what I mean? And how much you kind of spoke on like the imperfections being the perfect thing about Christianity. And to me, I would think that to really show your genuineness on how much you believe in the kingdom, one is it's about how are you making disciples, are you speaking the word, are you breathing life into other people, number one, you know what I mean, being a vessel. Number two is also not faking the funk. There's a lot of Christians out there that hide their fluff, you know what I
Mm,
mean. Then there's the Christians like myself where we're out in the open with it, you know what I mean. Yes, I still cuss, I'm imperfect, it is what it is. But also, like, I know about the Bible. I know things that are within it. I know the stories. I've been saved before. I felt the touch, and so on and so forth. And then it's just about sharing that word, from that point on. But I'd much
mm,
rather be an imperfect, outspoken, spiritual individual than one that fakes the funk and acts like I'm perfect when I know
mm.
damn well I'm not.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. You know what I mean? We can't be ashamed of our faith, and if y'all know me, I'm not ashamed of it. Sometimes I'll be DJing and I'll sneak in a Kirk Franklin track,
Right.
if it's Sunday. And I like that because I do it on a Saturday. And guess what? People saying, I'm gonna go to church tomorrow. I played at 1 o'clock. Now they're going to church tomorrow. We can party a little bit, but we have to make sure that we have to give time to him.
Right.
And I try to do my best. I will always try my best. And I think we all should. Don't ever be ashamed of it. You know what I mean? Um, so speaking of creativity and art, I mean, you mentioned that you got into wrestling and that was when you started taking your break from music, right? So I never knew that. I think it was Blaine that told me. I was like, I was on Facebook or something like that. I was talking to Blaine. I was like, is that Smiley? He's wrestling now? I was like, and Blaine said, yeah, he been doing that for me. I'm like, okay, I didn't know that. So, what was the reason that made you want to jump into wrestling and take it very serious? Because it seems like you're taking it more serious than the music stuff, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, man. More than anything, as a kid, we all enjoyed wrestling during the Rock and Stone Cold days,
Oh
Shawn
yeah.
Michaels, DX, Rikishi, too, all that stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? That's we all fell in love with wrestling back then. What people don't realize is how niche it is, or really how to get into it. And
Hmm.
honestly, it was an opportunity that fell in my lap a little bit after nowhere. I had a wrestling podcast and we went and did some photography and videography for a promotion one day and went out to have some drinks with all the wrestlers and the promoters and stuff afterwards. And there's where we obviously talked to a lot of the wrestlers, and we met this chick named Ruthless Lala.
Hmm.
And Lala kind of sat down with us, and you could just feel the realness and, what she was talking about on kind of how the journey is. And then she linked us to Anthony Black, who ended up being our trainer. It talked about how well, he treats people and how, he doesn't hold anybody back and he's not just in it for the money, but to really grow the business and grow the future of the business. And so
Hmm.
it was one of those opportunities that we couldn't pass up once it was there for a childhood dream. And
Hmm.
then it was just kind of one of those situations, man, where we got in and it never looked back. I mean, luckily for me, being an athlete, I was a trainer. I started becoming a personal trainer right before I started wrestling.
Hmm.
And so right when I started wrestling, I was already in good shape, former athlete as is back in middle school and high school. And so it was the perfect storm. Like it happened really fast. And next thing I know, now I'm in it, 7.5 years and showing up on AEW TV and I've held
Hey.
and I've held 13, 14 titles over my career so far, some of them
Okay.
2 or 3 times, and been blessed to face some of the biggest names in professional wrestling
Yeah.
today and yesterday. And so it was one of them things, man. It just all worked out. So you know what I mean? It
Yeah.
kind of fell into the lap initially, and then now the rest is history. I just kind of never looked back, and
Yeah.
didn't need to because a lot of stuff was happening as the journey kept going.
Yeah, I like how you took hold of the opportunity when you met Ruthie Ruthless, right? Did I say her name correctly?
Ruthless Lala.
Ruthless Lala. Okay,
Yeah,
that other name I said first, that could be another stage name. Y'all
probably.
take that down, rest. But that's so cool that I feel like a lot of us are scared to take that opportunity. You know what I mean? So when she approached you, I'm pretty sure is she already like a famous wrestler or in the industry?
I mean, she was pretty. Like a lot of people knew her. I wouldn't. She wasn't famous, so to speak, but a lot of people knew who Ruthless Lala was. She got around, and
Right.
she was, she had been already had her skin in the game for years. So
Okay.
she was very well known, and
Yeah.
just in women's wrestling, she wrestled dudes a lot too. She was one
Hmm.
of those, rough and
Like
rugged,
China.
but yeah.
Oh, snap.
Except short, black, and feisty.
Oh, okay. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Like if somebody that gives you the opportunity, man, I think it's best that you take it. And you
Right.
did, and look, now it changed your life forever. So, I know we can't never be scared of opportunity. So when it comes to the wrestling, you've been doing it for years and you had some changes. I think you mentioned you were an athlete. Wasn't your first name The Athlete?
Yeah, it was the
That was your
definition
intro
of a
name?
real athlete. Yeah, the
Okay, because I
definition of a
remember.
real athlete. Yeah, DRA.
Yeah.
I had on my gear. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember I got the opportunity to DJ one of your events, which was super cool.
Yep.
And it was the first time me seeing you wrestle. I thought that was amazing. And The Athlete was you, but then you had like a team.
Yeah, we had the Dot Mob fight team back
The
then.
Dot Mob, that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah.
So is the Dot
Yeah.
Mob, are y'all finished?
Yeah, we've been done for about 2 years
Oh,
now. Yeah. We've been done for a little bit. It's one of them things, man. When you're in groups like that, it's very hard for like everybody to genuinely make it.
yeah.
So that kind of stuff comes in a season. Groups never last forever. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? We all still talk for the most part, but as far as the group being together, that's been done. Everybody's kind of doing their own thing now. Making their way, try to do whatever it is that they're trying to do for their
Hmm.
journeys, as well as I'm doing what I need to do for my journey.
Right. So now the name you have now is Prime Time.
Yep.
What made you want to come
Which
up with
was
that? Prime
it was
Time.
it was given to me because
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah, so it wasn't something I thought of. One of my teammates from Dot Mob said that I was acting. He said he was like I'm gonna start calling you Prime, man. He was like you acting real Hollywood. And
Yeah.
so at that point we just Prime Time just kind of stuck and we roll with it.
Okay. So you said Hollywood, so you kind of come on the stage more like a Miz. Do you have that persona like a Miz or like more like
Yeah,
a Cody Rhodes?
I'm a showman. You know what I mean? I'm
Okay.
definitely a showman. Like now, I come out with the gold chain, gold glasses. Usually I have my gold grill in when I wrestle. I wear all that stuff. You know what I mean? So it's that. Not
Yeah.
not Hollywood as in like suits and ties, but Hollywood's as in like just money making Mitch type deal.
Yeah. Okay. So when it comes, okay. So do you currently have the title right now, or are you fighting for a title right now?
I have the OIWA International Heavyweight Championship, which the OIWA stands for the Organized International Wrestling Association, and it's an organization that has a
Hmm.
lot of companies under it. So I work
Okay.
for all those companies that are under the OIWA branch,
Okay.
which is sitting at about like 5 or 6 right now.
Okay. So you currently hold the title. So who out there is trying to take that title from the prime time right now? Or can anybody really take it from you right now? Do you even see any
No,
competition?
nobody has yet, and I've had it for 200. I've had it for 292 days so far, and nobody has yet. So
Oh my God, he's undefeated for 200 some days. I don't know. Somebody might have to jump in there and show him what's up if you can. I don't know. This is
right,
prime time. I don't know if y'all can, man. You know what I mean? Plus, he's blessed and highly favored. I mean,
that part.
good luck. Good luck. But hey, congrats on that, man.
Thank you,
So, speaking of wrestling, it's worked up all the way to this point, man, where, man, it's just so. First of all, I love seeing your post on Facebook. It
thank you.
just like inspires me because you look like you're having so much fun. I look at the audience around you when you're wrestling. These kids are inspired. They're laughing, crying, cheering. It's just a mix of emotions, and you're entertaining the crowd and inspiring them too because they look into your backstory of being a Christian, a man who saved, a man who turned his life around, who was also a family man. You know what I
Right.
mean? Doing it for his family. Very inspirational. And now look at this. You got your debut at AEW, man.
Yep.
How was that experience?
It was awesome, man. I've been blessed to work for him 3 times now. I had a match against the best friends, which is Chuck Taylor and Trent.
Hmm.
Then I had a match against the Lucha Brothers, which is Phoenix and Pentagon Junior. And then recently I faced the Acclaim the last time I was out there, which was
Hmm.
my most recent match that aired about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago.
Hmm. Man, so that experience of being on the television, like, did it just when you got on stage for the first time and the cameras were rolling, it was like action, get, do your best, get out there, do your thing. What was that feeling like? Did it just feel like, wow, like I've been seeing this since I was a kid. Now I'm the one that the kids are
Right.
looking at.
I mean, it felt right. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because I always expected it. I don't do this work not expecting to make it. I
yeah,
100% expect to make it because I put the work in, like genuinely.
yeah.
Like I don't just say that and not really be doing it. Like I genuinely put the work in to be able to make it to where I want to.
Mm,
And and it's not that any of those guys are better wrestlers, so to speak. It's just that they got the opportunity and seized it and got signed, and I'm steadily getting those opportunities to make myself valuable enough to them where I get a contract eventually.
hmm.
That's it.
Man,
It's just a contact separation. It ain't a skill situation, you know.
right. So the wrestling, it works on a contract. It's like you get a contract for a certain set of matches, and then y'all train and get the shows
I
like
mean, there's
that.
different ways. I mean, some of them are yearly, some of them are per match basis, so it varies. I don't know on the WWE route of stuff how that works or
Mm,
the Impact Wrestling, but you know, my stuff with AEW is the on-call basis right now. So if I get an email,
okay.
they're like, "Hey, we want you to show up on this date. We're gonna
Yeah.
book you." Then I show up. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
every time I get the opportunity, I just make sure I do whatever they need me to do with the time that I have. That way, I could make sure, you know, I get a little bit of something in, and make everybody look good that I'm in the ring with while I'm in there.
Okay. So they book you for a show. You get in the ring. It's showtime. They got you on the ropes. You know what I mean? Knocking you down. Is it done for prime time? I don't know. You get back up. You get the guy knocked down on the ground. What's your finishing move gonna be? He's on the ground. Prime time's up. What you gonna finish him off with?
I have two finishing moves. I have my jumping double stomp, and then I also have my Texas cloverleaf submission, the elevated cloverleaf, where I wrap
Okay.
their legs up and I'll hang them upside down by their legs, pretty much where
Ooh,
they can't
man.
tap out. Right.
Boy, does that sound painful. And y'all talking about you want to challenge him for the championship. Good luck.
Right. That's
So
why a lot of people have lost.
yeah. So when it comes to wrestling, man, what I really like seeing is the dynamic. And I know there's different types of wrestlers. There's like more of the ground grappling type of wrestlers. There's more like the acrobatic, the guys that always jump off the top rope. Like
Right.
I forgot his name, but he's like the guy that's like, yes, yes,
Daniel
yes.
Bryan.
Daniel Bryan. Yeah, I like. He's kind of a mix of both. He's more like more on the aerial side. Then you got guys like Kane that just slam and they just go ruthless. Then you got little pranksters like Hornswoggle and all these other guys that like to do little sneaky stuff and
Right.
get the cheers when you're not watching. So, what kind of wrestler would you classify yourself as, or are you kind of like a mix of all?
Yeah, I'm a little bit more hybrid, but I lean more to the technical side.
Okay.
You know what I mean. I lean to a lot more to the technical striker side of what I do in the ring. But I'm a hybrid. I could do the flips and stuff like that. I just don't.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not my cup of tea as far as what I want to portray myself as in the ring. So I'm more of like I say on the technical aspect of wrestling 100%. But you know, when the time is right, I'll get up on that top rope and do something funky if I need to for the show.
Yeah. So one thing I always liked is Shawn Michaels. His one of his, sweet chin music. Now I
Right.
know a lot of other wrestlers have incorporated that into their own sets. They call it different stuff. They have like I think Sheamus had the boot and all
Right.
that kind of stuff. I'm pretty sure you've gotten hit by one of those, right?
Correct.
And how does that? Because I've seen so many wrestling matches and just that impact, bro. It just oof. So is that contact? Tell us what that contact's like, man. How how do y'all
I,
take that and
I
just get
mean,
up and keep going, man?
you don't. You typically take it and they pin you afterwards because you get kicked in the fucking jaw.
Oh
You
my
just
god,
better
it's like
make sure you kick out of it.
yeah, it's like every time I see that, I'm just like, there's no way. I know Shawn Michaels and them, they're smaller dudes and the guys they kick, but them kicks be that contact, and I'm just
Yeah,
like, oh, I was like, there's no
yeah, it'd
way
be
he
like
got
that.
up,
Yeah,
man. Yeah, I remember. I think I saw him fight rest in peace Eddie Guerrero, and this is like a long time ago, man. And I think it was back in Wichita Falls when Raw first came to Wichita Falls. And when I tell you, I'm from Wichita Falls, like I said, y'all never heard of that place. It's the middle of nowhere. I think we barely got 100,000 people. But when Raw came to my hometown, that was the first time that I've ever seen a traffic jam ever in my life. And I was like, where are all these people going? They're all going the whole town went to go see wrestling, man. So when it comes to these big wrestling shows, Raw, SmackDown, I know they've evolved throughout the years. Raw was my personal favorite. I felt like that was a little higher than SmackDown. But as far as the shows, there's like a lot of new ones now. They have Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AEW. There's even some other kinds out there. What do you think? How do you think the programming has changed over the years? Has it gotten, better? Because I feel like the moments were just so, like I soaked them in a lot more earlier. Nowadays, there's just so much out there. That's a huge plethora.
But that's the beautiful thing about it is there's a buffet of it, right? Mm-hmm. So now instead of having one style, you have many styles that you can choose from, and there's no right or wrong. There's no really one's better than another because they're all so different from each other, and it's just kind of about what people want to watch at that point because the game has changed and the wrestlers aren't as big. Wrestlers aren't standing at 6'4", 275 across the board anymore. It's got it smaller. It's got a lot more acrobatic. It's got a lot more hybrid. It's got a lot more natural wrestling rather than like the sports entertainment aspect of wrestling. There obviously the entertainment side, but the goofy shit is kind of seized up, and people want to see just good ass wrestling nowadays.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So they get that out of a lot of places. Hey, y'all could go into y'all could go in there if y'all want to. And wrestling's changing in that aspect because it's not so gimmicky, so to speak, anymore. People want to see like good ass fucking wrestling. You know what I mean? They don't really care about the gimmicks. They want to see people that look good and that wrestle good, that tell a good story in that ring. Yeah, that's that.
Man,
you have your choice because there is so many now. It's not just WWE and WCW. Then that turned into WWE.
Wow.
When WWE bought WCW.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
but now you got WWE and all of their brands. You got AEW who has multiple brands. You have Impact Wrestling. You have MLW. You know what I'm saying? You have New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is blown up as well. Ring of Honor is out there. They're going through a transition stage right now, so they'll be off the next 4 months. But they're still out there as well. So there's just so much to choose from at that point.
I love it because, back in the day, I did notice the gimmicky stuff. And, I love wrestling so much, bro. But there were some wrestlers that did have the gimmicky stuff. I'm not going to name one guy who's probably one of the most popular wrestlers today. We're not going to say his name. But I remember he used to always flop every time Stone Cold put him in the stunner. He will always flop like a fish. I'm like LeBron. I'm like, now, if somebody put me in a stunner, even if I was bigger than him, I guarantee you I'm going to be stunned a little bit. And I'm going to move, but I'm not going to flop like a fish. And then another thing you brought up was it's like a more all sizes thing. And I love that. We're seeing wrestlers, men and women of all sizes, races, colors, cultures. Yes. It's so beautiful. I've seen a lot of Jamaican wrestlers, Indian wrestlers. There's like, 3 of them, Jinder Hall and all that. I was like, wow, that's amazing. Yeah. Great Khali. And then you have British wrestlers, Irish wrestlers, all that. Yeah. And they're all different sizes, like you said, because growing up, I used to see Hulk Hogan. But when I first saw them in person in Wichita Falls, I didn't know Hulk Hogan was 6'9".
Yeah, he's like he's like 6'7", 6'8". Yeah,
when he was, I didn't know that, and I was like, yo, Sting and them like 6'7". I'm like, yo, there's no way I'm gonna be a wrestler. There's no way. I'm not big enough. Steve Nash was 7'1". And now today it's like as long as you have the technique and the drive, you can make it happen. Rey Mysterio was one of them. Short guy, but the guy was literally kicking everybody in the nuts, taking the belts left and right. Right. And I was like, yo, that's crazy, man. But, again, congratulations, man, for what you've done so far. So the next part we got to talk about is what has been one of the highest moments in your career so far, whether it's wrestling or music. What would you say has been one, even if there are many moments, what one moment could you say has been one of your highest?
I'm gonna name two. I'm gonna name one for wrestling and one for music.
Okay.
Uh, so music wise, I would say my high would be when I returned and dropped the Elevated Life Story, which was the first album that I dropped once I returned to music back in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
I threw two specialty shows that were called the Elevated Life Story Experience.
Mm.
I rented out a studio, fully rented equipment, ran everything completely myself, and the joint was packed 100 plus people to capacity. It was hot as hell in this little studio that I rented, but so worth it. Seeing that everybody still wanted to hear me rap like that
Mm-hmm.
and listen to my music and all that kind of stuff. Because you never know with being gone so long. 4 years is a long time. And it ain't like I was a signed rapper to where I could leave for 4 years and I'm still in the public eye because I'm doing all this other stuff. I was
Mm-hmm.
an indie artist, so if I'm gone too long, my name is gone as far as in that genre.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas people like my man Eridon and Rick Blaine and Lou Charles and Buffalo Black, as they kept
Mm-hmm.
going, you know what I mean? And I didn't do that like they did because I left completely and went to wrestling. But coming back, during the Elevated Life Story Experience after I dropped that album, everybody showing up to full capacity on both shows because I had the first service show as I called it, and then
Mm-hmm.
I had the second service show as I called it a few months later. And so it was kind of like old times from when I was throwing the shows out in Denton, you know what I mean, where I was a
Mm-hmm.
promoter of the show and got to perform. Man, there's something that's just heartwarming about that and the love that was still shown with me coming back and being able to still have that it factor of drawing
Mm-hmm.
people out through my lyricism and them relating to it.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a super high for me as far as music goes. And I would say for wrestling, number one is like this whole year. Like it's hard to point one thing because this whole year has been my most growth year. I faced my best opponents throughout my career this last year. I'm talking Austin Aries, James Storm,
Wow.
Daniel Garcia, Kevin Blackwood. I faced people like Charlie Hoss, who's a former tag team champion, Sermo from Men on the Mission. I faced over the last year. A guy named Nate Lawson. I faced like a lot of really good talent,
Yeah.
talent that was former world champions at major promotions, and fucking beat them all. Like, but also along with the AEW stuff, you know what I mean? To finally be on that stage and be like, okay, now we seeing the light. The light's getting brighter towards
I
that
love
tunnel
it.
that we've been walking through. You
Yeah.
can't ignore that either. You know what I mean? I got respect for both ends. You know what I mean? As far as on the major side of wrestling, with being able to perform on AEW and be on that platform and fucking kick in that glass ceiling, break that glass ceiling a little bit as I try to climb through it still, and then also everything that I've achieved on the independent circuit up until this point.
Yeah, man, that's so cool, man. Like the light, like you said, the light's getting brighter. The stage lights are getting brighter and brighter and brighter.
Right.
And then eventually, and you know what, one thing I like about you is that you have a strong level of confidence. And this is why I think that you would be a great character in the wrestling entertainment because
Yeah.
with the when I'm speaking to you, I just see and I hear a confident human being. Then I also acknowledge that you are a man of God. Then I also acknowledge you got talents in music and wrestling. But
Right.
also I see first, that blessing and that confidence. He's
Yes.
like, I expect greatness because I put in the work. And
Correct.
you put in the work. And I'm
Correct.
like, you know what? I respect that because you say that and I'm seeing it. You know
Right.
what I mean? There's
And
no
that's
lie told.
right. And that's the thing. That's like I tell our trainees. I'm like, if you're gonna say you're good, be good. Like I'm a coach. I'm at the training school right now. I'm a coach at Bumps and Bruises Pro Wrestling Academy out here in Carrollton. And I tell our
Yeah.
guys all the time, if you're gonna say that you're good and say that shit online out in the public, make sure you show it.
Yeah.
If I'm going to say I'm one of the best wrestlers, which I do, because I am, I show
Mm.
it. Nobody
Yeah.
has ever been like, no, you're not, because they can't.
Yeah. They
You
can't.
know what I mean? They can't. You know what I mean? They might not say anything at all, but the one thing they can't do is say I'm not what I say I am. I'm 100% what the fuck I say I am, and that's one
Yeah.
of the best wrestlers in the game. Not only just due to the wrestling, but due to everything. Because everything makes up the person that is wrestling. Dontae Smiley is the brand, and everything comes with it. You know what I mean? I'm a published author. Like in the wrestling autobiographies and stuff, I was number 3 to John Moxley recently, who's in
Yeah.
AEW, formerly
Yeah. Let's talk about
Dean
that real
Ambrose. You
quick.
know what I mean? Go ahead.
Yeah, let's talk about that, man. You were a number 3 best-selling author on Amazon, bro.
Correct. In
And you're
multiple
like
categories.
top 3,000 overall in book sales. That's crazy. Unfuckwittable. Like, tell us about that real quick, and just how did you even like think of writing a book? Because I mean, you're an artist, wrestler, and then you're also a public speaker.
Come on.
I had to mention that. And then you're telling your story and putting this information into a book. Like, bro, that's amazing. Tell us about that book, man.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just realizing that you have a story, man. There's not a lot of people that, feel like that people want to hear their story or their journey. I firmly believe that you can learn from anybody. Everybody has a story. And from my childhood to this point, I've been through a lot, not only family-wise, but personal-wise, and getting over a victim mindset. You know what I mean? And realizing I have control over my world. I ain't a victim to any of my past circumstances, because that's the past. You know what I mean? I'm going into the future. I'm not worried about that kind of stuff. Nor am I a victim to what this world says I should be a victim in. You know what I mean? I'm gonna control what I can control. You know what I mean? Which is everything about my world, my family, those that I associate with, and make sure I live by design and not by default, live with intention. You know what I mean? Realize that my past doesn't make me, my past isn't who I am today, but my past is just a fiber of who I am, because I've grown through what I went through to have breakthrough to get to where I am today, and just be the hardest worker in the room. And so that's what becoming unfuckwittable is all about. It's my journey, and it even ends open-ended, where it talks about me, steadily saying that I'm still working to better myself. I'm still working to get to where I want to get. I'm still working. I'm still, you know what I mean? Which leaves now we leave the space open for me to write another book after a certain amount of time. Once I feel like it's time, you know what I mean, to teach.
It's a marathon.
That's exactly it. You know what I mean? But everybody has a story, and I'm in a few masterminds, and that's the one thing that we talk about, is everybody can learn from everybody. A lot of people don't feel like anybody wants to hear their story or anybody cares. Well, I could tell you that as a number 3 best-selling author, you know what I mean, in multiple categories, 3,000 overall, out of all books, people want to hear your shit.
Hey. I had to do that one for you, man. Yo, I want to thank you so very much for coming onto my platform, bro. This is going to be recorded. If anybody's watching this, make sure to like and subscribe. But first, follow our guest artist, public speaker. Hold on. Published author. In the description below. Get that book. I'm going to buy a couple copies right now on Amazon. And also, before you go, tell us about, do you have another a show coming up in Dallas? Because I definitely want to buy some tickets and do a little giveaway.
Yeah, man. So we have a show this Saturday, actually, out in Carrollton at CrossFit Templum. And stuff. I'm defending my OIWA title. And then on December 4th will be the next show in Dallas. I have other shows between there, but they're all out of state, and I got to fly and drive far and travel and all that kind of stuff. So the next shows in Dallas are the 13th, which is this Saturday, at CrossFit Templum. If people go to the Sword Championship Wrestling website, then you can just Google Sword Championship Wrestling, and you'll find the website. You can get tickets from there and stuff for either this show or the December 4th show that we have coming up. And music, I'm working on an album already. It's been in the progress since the last album was done. You know, music's a never-ending thing. We always kind of working on it. And so I got another album that I want to be dropping next year at some point. Don't know exactly when, but I am working, and that's going to be coming about. Still got a lot of public speaking appearances coming up. You know what I mean? I'm already working on my second book. I already have the title, already have the outline and all that kind of stuff. So once it's time to release that, I'll be releasing that. But right now, we're going to bask in the moment of becoming unfuckwittable. We're going to bask in the moment of me getting ready for this next show this Saturday. We're going to bask in the moment of making sure that I show and prove every single time anybody sees anything from me, be it on Instagram, Facebook, in person, on Twitter, whatever else. People are only going to see excellence from me, because that's what I always make sure I exude. That way people can be inspired from it and know that they can too. If I can do it, anybody else fucking can too.
Yeah, man, I love it, bro. First of all, loud and clear. Hand claps all around. Prime time, the champion, defender. You're not gonna get that belt. I'm just saying you could try to get it, but y'all ain't gonna get that belt.
That part.
Published art, published author. You know what I'm saying? Public speaker, artist, pro wrestler, athlete, overall athlete. Bro, you are just walking inspiration, bro.
Appreciate
Like
it,
everything that was here, man. When this is posted up on the podcast, Spotify, Google Play, every other podcast, 1's or 2's podcast, make sure to like and subscribe. I know somebody's gonna get touched, and you're also a man of faith first and foremost, and I definitely respect that. Yo, prime time. I want to thank you so much for coming on the platform, man. Appreciate you, bro. All right, have a good one, man.
You as well, brother. Appreciate you.
All right, appreciate you.
Yep.